To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Everybody, and welcome. We're back for our weekly awesomeness called Talking Shop, where I get to interview really cool people in the industry about things that we should be paying attention to coming out this week or very soon, either that are coming through the traditional distribution model or at Kickstarter or other crowdfunded manners, like, you know, cool things like Snowpaw, that we have a lot of people that are super creative and they just can't wait for the timeline that there is for all the companies that are out there. Sometimes they just got to do it. They got to put it out on their own. But first, we're going to end up talking to our good friend who's social media for Scout. He knows everything that's going on behind the scenes for those guys. Let's see what secrets we can get him to tell us that he might not supposed to be telling. I know a guy that'll make it okay. So let's talk to Joey, guys.
How's it going? I think you guys made a mistake when you said that you have professionals in the industry and then you asked me, because that is not me. Okay. I'm just a geek that likes to talk about comics. That's all I do.
Professional is definition is someone who their primary source of income is from the industry in which we're talking about. And
okay. Maybe I just don't act professional. Maybe that's the thing. So how's it going, Jan?
It's been a really crazy day. There's been this trend. I don't know if your LCS has been seeing this too, but there's a trend for Mondays to be very busy, which is bizarre. It's like an extra weekend day.
I'm still a recluse, so I don't go out into the world. I have not traveled into a comic shop in like 2-3 years.
I don't even know how I could do that. Hey,
I just have them sent to me. So
well, that's kind of nice. Just like have boxes randomly appear.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like, yeah, you have an amazing show, what's in the box and all that good stuff. But this last week, there's going to be some really cool stuff coming out of Scout. I don't know if you want to know this week here.
Okay, so here's my problem is that I feel like I've made some kind of critical error because I did not get books last week.
Oh no.
So
really?
I still don't have I don't have playthings yet, and I don't have that's last week. So I I haven't got to read them either. So it's like my mind.
That's a hot book right now too. That's a hot one. Yeah, that you definitely need to get that one in the store if you don't have it. Yeah, that stinks. The supply chain was supposed to be kind of getting a little bit back on track, so that kind of stinks. I mean, sure, there's some hiccups here and there, but we should be back on track. But I don't know, Jen, have you been reading King's Vengeance from our good friends over there, Peter Rick?
Yeah, I love his last name because it's very French. And
so I asked him about that. I sat down with him and I talked to him. I was like, "Hey, man, okay, I know I'm gonna ask you because I know you get this all the time, but you got a Q in your name. Is it like French? Do I gotta put like a French? Do I gotta put Peter Rick? Like I like that. I even rolled like I can't even do that. I'm a Mexican. I can't do an accent. I'm probably like horrible. That probably shouldn't do that again. But no, I was like asking him, and he said, no, it's not French. It's just say like Rick, and it sounds like Rick. I was just trying to be cool, I guess. I don't know the reason why. If that's, I never really got into deeper with why that was there, but yeah, it's
we
just
get deep into the weeds here on Talkin' Shop. Like I'm pretty sure when people get interviewed by me, they're watching the clock. We're at 4:20 of a 4:30 interview, and they're like, "We haven't talked about my book at all." I'm like,
yeah,
you gotta fish. You gotta get all the other stuff first.
Sometimes that happens. So yeah, this week coming up here on this week we're gonna be getting a King's Vengeance #2. That one's really good. The first issue was really good. It dropped us right in the middle of like right at the tail end of a war happening, and something happened, and we're gonna pick right up where we left off, and we're gonna find out what happens from there. I don't want to give too much away because it's such a good story. This one is definitely, you guys are definitely going to be, if you guys liked it, some people were like, I don't know, because of how it threw us right into there. Issue #2 is definitely going to redeem itself. So if you guys are one of those people who are on the fence, stick around for issue 2.
I mean, all you really have to tell people about that book is he rides a dinosaur, right? Isn't that all
Yes.
the hook you need?
Dinosaur and what, telekinetic powers. Oh yeah, all day. All day long, right? And then I know you love this one. You've been waiting for this one to come out, Beyond the Beyond.
Oh,
you've been telling me that you've been wanting this one a lot, right? So that one's dropping. North Bend season 2 issue 3 is going to be out, and then another one that's highly recommended is Pentagram of Horror #1 from Marco Fantanelli. Amazing creators, all this week dropping in your hopefully in your pull list.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading horror from Marco because my entire exposure to him so far has been kind of like the happy, although grumpy King Jira.
Yeah,
we've only been talking about that stuff, and then I'm also like waiting with bated breath whenever I he's written a Batman book that's just his own thing.
Oh, really? I did not know that. I want a
copy of it so that I could read it, so I can say,
"Ooh." Have you read any of it at all yet?
Ooh. No, I wait till it's in my hand. So I want it to be really, really good, and then I want to put it in the hands of the right people, and then I want him to get a job writing that book.
Yeah, that's cool. Heck yeah, that's really cool. Really cool. We got tons of stuff in FOC. I don't know if you want to hear FOC stuff.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because that stuff I know that I ordered.
So which ones are you anticipating doing well that's in FOC today? Or the ones, because we do have FOCs that are due. That's just a couple of them, but we also have some that are hitting the catalog that are now available for pre-order as well.
Okay, because I feel like I ordered my FOC the day that it became available. So now I'm 3 weeks away from seeing what the FOCs are. I've totally forgotten now.
Yeah, I think today there was only 2 or 3, maybe 3 that are in FOC. I guess I didn't have the FOCs up. I think I posted. I did. I've been so busy today already. I think I posted in Scout. Let me look really quick. Yes, we have Canceled is in FOC today. So is By the Horns, Dark Earth, and Triskeel. They're all in FOC today. That's the deadline. So if anybody hasn't adjusted their orders, make sure to get that in. Oh yeah. Hopefully you're not starting that order.
Well, I'm one of the crazy kids that order straight from Scout. So yeah, that's why all my orders been in for weeks.
And what's cool is Scout's now on previews FOC. If I don't know if people know that quite yet, I think it's a couple weeks now that they've been on there. 2-3 weeks now, I think.
It makes a big difference. So if there are people out there that have no idea what FOC is and why it makes any difference whatsoever.
Yeah. So final order cutoff. You want to let them know what that means?
Well, I mean, so what my sweet husband calls IOC, which is funny, initial order cutoff. It happens like 3 months out. So that's normally back in the day when we would make orders for books. We would have to just kind of make educated guesses, honestly.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot that can happen in 3 months. That was the last time we used to have to be able to look at numbers and put them in. So that's like a nails biting thing, because no one tells you that far out that they want a book. They may not even know it exists that far out.
And then you could forget about it.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of like roll the dice. All right, I think my customers like Batman, but also like Tri-Skull, so I'll order those for them. Now we've kind of like by the action of a lot of very smart retailers, begged and pleaded and worked together with publishers to have final order cutoff be a thing, which is about 3 weeks out. It's actually spread to more than a month now, just because of the paper shortage. They have to know so much earlier. Yeah. But it does allow for us to have a much more specific, correct number for how much we're going to need. And I think that what I've heard from publishers is that they'll see as much as a doubling of the order between initial order input and the final order cutoff. So it's beneficial to them. And I don't know what kind of hoops they have to jump through to be able to become part of the FOC program, but whatever it is, it's got to be worth it if they see doubled orders, right?
Right. Yeah, because I'm not a retailer, so I don't know what it takes to jump through those hoops either. So yeah, it's very interesting and intriguing how the history of comic books and retail of comic books has kind of progressed and changed. It's really interesting. Super cool. There's tons of stuff. I don't know. Do you have the list in front of you for the FOC? Do you want to get into it at all?
Because I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, I have. So I just have what's in previews, because I was so excited that we're now in previews. I'm like, oh, people can like order for previews now, because we've because it was part of my job at Scout is reading some of the comments, or reading some of the messages and kind of taking care of those things, and there was a few, and they're asking, hey, when are you guys getting on FOC at Diamond, and what's going on with that, and then finally we announced it, and then now we're there, and so I want to kind of make sure people know that it's there now, so they can get it from there now. All that crazy stuff going on with, what is it? Are we still 1 week behind with Lunar and Diamond? Are they still mixing it up that way? People are getting books a little delayed. I don't mean.
I know that there are people saying that PRH is being on time and Diamond's being sometimes as much as a week late for Marvel, but that's just the logistics of getting the books from PRH to Diamond and into the piles of things to end up in boxes. It's a logistics nightmare. They're doing their best.
There's a lot of land to travel, and there's a lot of obstacles. I understand. I don't. As long as I get my books, I'm cool. We have
got some crazy questions.
Yeah, what are the questions?
He's got some questions. He's like going way off topic, and I love it.
Here, I didn't even have questions up, so I was like really behind. Okay.
Do you see local comic shops getting on board with the NFT hype train, and how do you think they will integrate the technology? So I only really know one other comic book store owner that has mentioned NFTs as an idea of things that they could be part of and sell. And I think he took some NFTs, some Batman NFTs in trade just to try it out. I am probably weirdly, I'm an early adopter for lots of things, but for something like this, that there's nothing physical to hold, I'm probably gonna be a late adopter, if at all, because I don't know if I can't explain it fully to a customer about where that thing lives and how it's worth anything and how it's unique. And
my wife's the same way.
Other things, I don't know if I should be selling them.
My wife's the same way. She's like, I don't understand the cloud. What is the cloud? she's like, I don't know what the cloud is. I have no use for it.
My other personal opinion is that anything that that could be taken out by a solar flare or a really good EMP, I don't want it.
There you go. So we have a few of them and now pre-order. We tons of them actually, and they're all going to be coming out in summertime. So we're going to have a hot summer. It's going to be sizzling. Look, I'm in Arizona, and yesterday was the very last day that we had any kind of cool type of weather. And this next week is going to be 90s and above, and it's not going to get any cooler than that. So fun. um, so
Right?
right, so we got Agent of World #1 in pre-order now. This one's really cool. It's a really this one's huge. Actually, all over the internet. Like they I think they did this one Kickstarter. People
Mhm.
who like tons and tons of people who backed this one, and they got picked up, and now it's gonna be dropping on at Scout. Um, really cool. I wish I had assets to show you guys and stuff like that, but that one's in there. I'm gonna run through these really quick. I'm sure people can probably look them up, but we got another one. Mega Centurions is a brand new one. I guess I can read a quick synopsis on this. Mega Centurions, Mega no more, as the Mega Centurions Cassidy, Reggie, and Thad saved the world from an alien invasion by the evil Prince Vencor. Today, they are barely scrapping by the dead end jobs. Things are flipped upside down when a face from their past comes crashing back into their lives. Really interesting. Beyond the Beyond 2, Broken Eye 3. We got By the Horns Dark Earth #2 is in pre-order as well. Cities of Magic 2, that's another one that's really good. You got to speak to some of the guys from there. Distorted #4, and then trade paperback volume 2. And I don't know if you're excited about Sartorial Geek. Have you seen the first issue?
I have. I was the most excited to see Kelly Sue DeConnick on the front cover, looking like a hottie patati.
Yeah, so issue
Oh,
2, we're gonna have issue 2 in pre-order now as well. It's super cool. I don't know if anybody out there knows what it is. It's a really cool fashion magazine founded by a couple of geeky chicks who are amazing people. They do some amazing work. They have a podcast and a company and all this cool stuff, and they make a magazine. And Scout picked them up, and now they're distributing and publishing it. So really awesome. They started out kind of like people do like a zine kind of a thing, like just random, like really cool. Super awesome. Really awesome people over there. And then we got some cool we have a young adult. I think, what is this, like the second young adult title at Scout now? That's gonna be dropping. Wannabes #1. So Juniper was the first one, right? I can't remember.
that sounds
JD
right.
says JD Smith, the digital says, I grew up. Okay, where's it at? I grew up in Phoenix. Don't miss those hot days. No, yeah, dude, you don't miss this stuff at all. It's hot.
You and Phoenix have got the true hot, just like Bernie hot. Stand in the shade, it still feels the same hot. And in Houston, we have the walk out the front door and you walk into like a hot shower hot.
Yeah, it's thick. It's thick out there, isn't it?
It's like we will always have like super great skin and people from like Cali and Phoenix. You can tell they get like the crackle skin. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm. We usually stay inside, and we don't leave the house ever for a good 3 to 6 months.
That's what people say when they're like, "Why would you ever live in Houston?" I'm like, "We just stay inside, man. We don't go out."
That's funny. Yeah, but we got tons of cool stuff going on. There's some almost forgotten. This is one of the biggest news things. I don't know if you've been following some of the stuff that's been going on at Whatnot, Jen, with Scout and all the people out there. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but Scout this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, they're going to be doing a Scout Comic-Con live on Whatnot. Everybody at the Scout headquarters, they're going to be doing a live stream from 11 a.m. straight through to 9 p.m. EST. And they're gonna be we're gonna be promoting this like mad, like crazy this week. So they're gonna be dropping a list of creators that are gonna be there, and I believe you're gonna be able to get some signatures and all that cool stuff. But they're gonna be there. We're gonna drop that on Wednesday, a list of creators and the schedules and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys go to Whatnot and follow Scout Comics, because it's gonna be a huge event.
Do you know if they're going to do it as like one solid stream, or are they going to quit out and come back on in between things? Or
I have it right here. This is exactly what James Hake, the president of Scout Comics, says to me. He says, we're doing a Scout Comics Con on Saturday and Sunday, straight live stream from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. EST.
Well, I hope it holds
So
together.
that is straight from him, like a text message from him saying that's. I don't know if that means straight through, like no breaks, like no different shows. It's just one huge stream. So that's what I got, and that's what we're gonna be promoting. So we're promoting it.
I hope I didn't like egg him on to something crazy, because
You probably did.
we've done charity live sales for like 25 hours in a row, and that's
Oh my gosh.
a
Oh my gosh.
buster.
I can't fathom doing something like that. Like me doing this for like 30 minutes to an hour, I'm exhausted.
Mhm.
And I just admire what you do all day long. I can't you must go home absolutely tired.
Actually, I'm usually fine. My problem is going to bed at night because I'm all super psyched for
Oh
whatever's
man,
going to happen the next day. So my brain has a hard time shutting down.
I wish I had your energy.
So hey, I'm going to interview you for a little bit.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Tell me about how you got into comic books, just in general, like as a kid or as an adult. How did you enter into comic books as an art form?
Yeah, obviously I'm a kid. Listen, I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna deny it if you guys ask me. Because of the year of my birth, technically on paper, I'm supposedly a millennial. So I will deny it. I will deny it if you guys ask. But I am oh my so I am so anyway, I grew up with the Ninja Turtles and all those stuff like X-Men and all those cartoons on TV, right? And comic books, Batman and all that good stuff. So but I've always been into Batman and comics and stuff like that. Just kind of just through osmosis watching the shows, I guess. And then as I got a little bit older, there was this corner ice cream shop, and it had these, the magazine rows, and the last two rows were all comics, and they had a spinner rack on the side. And I bought my first comic book there after eating some ice cream. I remember exactly what I had. I had a double scoop of sherbet in a waffle cone, and that's what I would get every single time. And I bought some comic books. First one I got was it was Jim Lee's run of X-Men in the 90s, where it's the connecting covers. I think it was cover C. I have since bought them, and I've got them all connected, and I've framed them, and they're up there. I can move my camera, but they're up there on the wall behind me. So that was the first time I ever bought a comic, and I bought it with my own money because I would go around and mow lawns and all that stuff. So that was the first time that I ever bought comics. But I contribute my comic book love to a woman who is very much like a grandmother to me. She's a family friend, and she took care of us all the time. And she was, while my mom was at work, and she is my grandmother. And she watched Hulk, the Lou Ferrigno Hulk, because she had a crush on him, and so we would watch that. And then obviously Wonder Woman was out, so she would always watch that and stuff. So that was kind of one of those first things that got me into that at an early age. So I guess it kind of bloomed and blossomed from there.
Yeah, I've got a problem. It's probably why Lou Ferrigno is not friendly to me at cons. I think of it as Bill Bixby's Incredible Hulk, which is wrong, surely. But sorry, okay. You were awesome, but Bixby made me cry.
Oh no! Oh goodness.
Leonard's going to ask us another. I love that our viewing public is just going to throw stuff from left field. I love it.
Yeah.
So Leonard's asking about. It looks like there's a rumor that Hugh Grant has already been asked before and has turned it down, but now because they've got a new creative team and all that stuff that they're thinking about bringing him on as like the Marvel Doctor Strange kind of feeling of Doctor Who. So that kind of like more high, I guess they're always high production, but higher production Marvel Doctor Who with Hugh Grant as a Doctor Who character.
Interesting.
What do you think? What do you think, Leonard? I want to know what you think. That's
interesting. That's interesting. I listen. I'm a stickler with Doctor Who. There's only a handful of doctors that I enjoy. And you know what I mean? Just like
There
anybody else,
are.
they have their own. I think it's obviously I obviously have to go with I always forget his name. And I always mess it up as Ecclestian. I forget his name. I can't.
Eccleston.
Yeah, I can't even say his name. And then obviously freaking dude that was in Jessica Jones. What's his name?
Tenet.
Yeah, David Tennant. Those two
Mr.
are one of my
Purple.
favorites. Yeah, Mr. Purple. Both really good doctors. I really liked them a lot.
Speaking of Tenet as the Purple Man, I'm not the only person that's seeing him in the Doctor Strange trailer, right?
What? I did not.
He like walks straight through the
Oh, I
screen.
think I did hear something
I'm
like
like,
that.
what the
I
heck?
thought I saw something like that. Yeah, I was like, I can't. I thought I would because I could do research for my show for the geeky stuff, and I thought I did notice that. I think I like bookmarked it to go like actually read it and research it and like fact check stuff. So, but
Look at IMDb and see what they have him listed as.
I haven't seen anything yet, so I got to go look at it. We'll ask the hive mind. The hive mind usually is really good. Like I don't know if you saw like last like it was like a week or two ago, something happened where I dropped some news and somebody else in my friend group that was watching the live, they said, "Oh, this is the information I had," and I was like, "All right, everybody, go to work, research this really quick, find all your resources." And come up with the answer, and we got the answer literally like 30 seconds later, and like everybody came up with the exact same answer. So we were like, okay, well there you go. So
Were you the Hardy Boys or?
yeah, right. The geeky hive mind is real. Like it's real. It's not even like it's not a joke. And you got to use it just right though. You can't abuse the power.
No, I mean we've got a problem now, right? Where you ask someone a question, they're like immediately pull out their phone. I'm like, no, I just want to see if you know
it. Oh man, that's bad. I'm usually like, I'm cool. I don't know too much. My wife's probably listening to me right now. She's like, you're gonna lie right now. Where I'm gonna like, I don't know a lot of comic book, like trivia and all this stuff, but she's probably be like, yeah, right. But I'm not like, I mean, we have geeky friends that like you just tell them one thing and they can tell you like they can bring it out of their head, and you're just listen. I've got a small amount up in here, and I usually have to push some of it out to put something back in. Did we get some answers here from the hive mind? Did they do
Leonard's
it?
Giving back his feedback here.
Yeah, Leonard, he says Grant played it briefly in Curse of the Fatal Death for comic relief. It would be interesting choice. I was digging the return of David Tennant idea. Bring him back as Meta-Crisis version. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. That's really interesting.
I've always liked things very much where they gave us something that we weren't expecting, or that kind of on the surface seemed like it can't possibly be right. It's like Keaton's Batman and Pattinson's Batman. Both were the same kind of responses. It's like, that dude's a comedian. I don't know how he's supposed to be taken seriously as Batman, and he's still my favorite Batman.
Yeah.
So, and then Pattinson knocked it out of the park. So I could never ever say that, I don't know about Hugh Grant as Doctor Who, because I have not seen him in whatever outfit they're going to put him in any situation yet. And then I'll make a decision once I see him do the thing, right?
If this was maybe like 15, 20 years ago, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm gonna question everybody's casting, right? But now the people, like you said, people who you thought would never be able to do it are making you change your mind, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, you go from a sparkly vampire to I am vengeance. I'm like, all right, I'm cool with that.
All right, Joey, we ran out of time. Is that at the right place to find you on the Insta and other places?
Yeah, on you can find me Joey at Joey Galvez 1984 and all things Scout Comics. And you can find me here with my buddy Ambrosia on Wednesday 9 p.m. EST.
Always tune in because you never know what those two are going to say.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we'll have
Thank
you
you.
on again. Thank you so much for all that
Thank
good
you.
inside information for everybody so they can add it to their polls.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right, everyone stick around. We get to talk to David Peppo next. Welcome back. This is The Experience, and we're on an amazing show called Talking Shop, where we give you all the information you need to know about comic books that are coming up so you can get them on your pulls at your local comic shop and not miss a thing. Because there's nothing worse than walking into your local comic shop a week after a book came out that you would have loved to have had and it's sold out. So sad. Don't let that happen to you. All right, up next, we get to talk with our good friend, David Peppo.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me, Jen. I'm excited to be on the show.
I love that you were at Peppo's.
Yeah. Keep it simple. But yeah, no, I'm so thrilled to be catching up with you. It's been a wild few months since last we spoke, and yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Okay, so there's lots of things I want to talk to you about. For everybody that doesn't know, David has had his hands in comic books for a great long time. He's done stuff with DC. He's done stuff with Netflix. He's done stuff with CBS and Universal Studios and all kinds of crazy stuff. But comic books, Spencer and Locke, I was going to the chapel. I want to say wedding for some reason in my brain. Scouts Honor, Oz, Cthulhu stuff, and coming up, you breached the gap. You made it to the Marvel.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Savage Avengers. I'm going to be the new writer on that series. We're doing a brand new #1, all new, all different, hitting stores May 4th on Free Comic Book Day week. So we're very excited about that series. We've got massive shoes to fill. Jerry Dugan's run with Conan, sort of exploring the Marvel universe. So iconic, so incredible. And, when my editor, Tom Brevoort, reached out to me saying, hey, we're thinking about relaunching Savage Avengers. Do you have any ideas for it? I was very excited to jump on board. Really.
Did you already have something kind of like mulling around in your brain, or did you have to be like, "Can I get back with you in like 5 minutes?" As you like screamed?
No, it's yeah. I mean, I had the initial moment of the email hit, and I was like, oh, this is happening. Oh my gosh, this is finally happening. I had a moment. I saw Tom say, Savage Avengers, and I had a second where I was like, Savage Avengers, and then I immediately was like, I have the idea. I have an idea for this. And they ran with that idea. I emailed them about 20 minutes after the email came back saying, I can come up with some more ideas, but what do you think about this? And they were very excited about it. Really, the quick elevator pitch for this story. Think sword and sorcery Terminator, set in the Hyborian Age. Conan the Barbarian, for those who haven't been following Conan's adventures in the Marvel Universe, he while he's having his own historical adventures going on in Conan and now in King Conan, in Avengers No Way Home, Conan was actually brought from the Hyborian Age to the modern Marvel Universe. And so he's been going on lots of adventures in the first volume of Savage Avengers, sort of as a Conan team-up style book.
Yes, in which he was introduced to Paps.
Yes. What we decided to do for the second volume is, Conan shouldn't be here. Conan being in the modern Marvel Universe, it's causing some ripples in the time stream. And that has put him directly in the sights of Deathlock, who is sort of a cyborg time cop from the end for the edge of the future, and he's come back to erase the problem, and that means sort of a cyborg versus Sumerian, sort of going head to head through the streets of New York, and as we'll find out, a team of very unlikely superheroes winds up getting caught in the crossfire, and not to spoil sort of what brings them all together, but I think there is a through line between our cast. We've got Elektra Nachos as the all-new Daredevil, Flash Thompson returning from the grave as Agent Anti-Venom, the Hulk Wolverine mashup known as Weapon H, Clay Cortez, love that character, Dane Whitman, a longtime Avenger, coming as the Black Knight, and then two of my favorites. I've wanted them to be Avengers for 15 years. I told Tom, if you turn down everybody else on my roster, please don't turn these guys down. Cloak and Dagger, finally stepping up to the big leagues as the Avengers that they have always deserved to be. I would say the through line between all of these characters is they're characters that are grappling with a dark side. And that's going to be something that really informs our story as they find themselves in the most unfamiliar territory of all, on Conan's home turf, the Hyborian Age. And so it's really going to be one of those stories that, Conan's sort of fighting for his life. The Savage Avengers are fighting to get home. Deathlock is fighting to preserve the time stream. And what happens when these clashing parties, what happens to the time stream as a whole as a result of all of this? So we're very excited. We've got plans pretty far in. I'm already working on our on a second arc ideas right now. But I'm very excited. It's a really fun team. I'm working with artist Carlos Magno on the book. You might know him from Kang the Conqueror, which came out from Marvel last year. He's spectacular. He's like Phil Jimenez meets Brian Hitch. Just a really larger than life, amazing artist. He's a huge Conan fan. And just he's killing it. He's crushing it on this book. And I couldn't be more excited. This feels like the perfect title for me to be making my Marvel debut. I remember when Tom had sent me the email about Savage Avengers, my first thought was, why Savage Avengers? And then it hit me. It's the mashup book. That's the Marvel mashup book. And for anyone who's read it, any of my previous works, Spencer and Locke, Going to the Chapel, the OZ, Scout's Honor, that's what I do. I love pop culture infused mashups. And so being able to sort of tell a story that's essentially, what if Conan fought the Terminator, and then you throw superheroes in the mix? It's super fun. It's a dream come true. And we're having so much fun in this series. And I can't wait for readers to get to check it out.
Okay, so the first question that comes to my mind is, Conan is famously distracted by women.
Mhm.
Is our Daredevil going to use that to her advantage?
Well, so the thing is, the reason I picked Elektra, I poor Tom, when he asked me about this series, I said, okay, let me take a weekend to give you like a full series of pitches. And I probably sent him a 15-page document with 5 different rosters and 5 different angles to take this series. But Elektra as Daredevil was really at the top of my roster for the beginning. She's one of the original Savage Avengers. For those who were there at Jerry Dugan's original run, that there was an original team of Punisher, Wolverine, Venom, Elektra, and Dr. Voodoo teaming up with Conan. And so I wanted to speak to that roster a bit. While adding sort of a sword and sorcery element to it with Black Knight and Cloak and Dagger. But Elektra, Anti-Venom, and Weapon H really speak to that core Elektra, Wolverine, and Venom archetypes from that original art. So Conan and Elektra, they probably have the strongest relationship, or that's Conan's strongest relationship in this roster, because she's really the one that he knows. Although it's funny because when Conan met Elektra, she was sort of operating under her own name, and now that she's got her own new status quo as the all new Daredevil, that's something that Conan's going to have to grapple with a little bit. At first, he doesn't recognize her. He's just like this female demon. What is she doing? And Elektra has to be like, it's me. Like, you know me. Elektra is such a fun character in this book. I have a fond place for her, and it only got more fond when she took on the role as Daredevil. I think that was such a cool upgrade for her and such a really fun redesign. But I've said to sort of quote from the Distinguished Competition a bit. Conan's sort of the Superman of this group, and Elektra's kind of the Daredevil. She's really the tactical thinker. She's kind of the by far the most competent person on the team. But at the same time, because she's sort of taken this vow not to kill, thanks to Matt Murdock, she feels like she's kind of fighting with one arm tied behind her back. And that's something that Elektra kind of has to think of loopholes around, is sort of, if I can't kill this person, what do I do? And it does make her a little prickly at times with her teammates, who, she's more experienced than the majority of the people on this roster. But she's got depths. I will say, if you're a fan of Elektra, I would say she steals the most scenes in this series. We've got some very cool moments in store for her. Pretty much every single issue has, I think, a real showstopper of an Elektra moment. So Daredevil fans are going to have a lot to love in this book.
So what made you want to go to bat for Cloak and Dagger for the storyline? What specifically about that pair is key for what you have planned?
Oh boy, I'm so glad you asked me that question. I've loved Cloak and Dagger since the days of Maximum Carnage. I was right at the right age when those were coming out, that I was just like, I don't know who they are, but they are super cool. And I remember that they kind of, they percolated in the back of my head for years. And it was a 1-2 punch. What Mark Miller and Steve McNiven did with Cloak in Civil War, I thought was like really, like, I was like, oh, he's a utility player. Like, he makes a lot of sense. But then seeing what Matt Fraction did in the Dark X-Men and Dark Avengers event, Utopia, I was like, Cloak and Dagger deserve to be Avengers. There's so much untapped potential, and there's so many implications for their powers that we're going to delve into Savage Avengers. I think out of all the characters there, Cloak and Dagger are sort of the ones that are getting the biggest tune-up in terms of their capabilities. And I remember telling Tom, if you turn down every single person in this roster, please let me have Cloak and Dagger. They fit aesthetically, there's sort of that, you've got the billowing cape and you've got the woman with light elemental powers. It feels very swords and sorcery. Having Cloak as sort of the transport for the team opens up a lot of avenues. But I also felt like there's interesting things about their dynamic that I want to explore. Cloak and Dagger, they've often been a romantic coupling as well as sort of partners in crime fighting. But their dynamic sometimes runs a little toxic. And so we're going to be kind of really interrogating that in a big way, seeing how Ty and Tandy's relationship and dynamic evolves and changes over the course of our story. But we also there's some fun things that we get to explore with their various power sets that, we haven't really gotten a chance to do yet. For example, somebody like Cloak, he's fighting with portals. He's a guy who we're going to find ways for him to use teleportation offensively, which is a really cool thing that we haven't really gotten a chance to see him do. Whereas, Dagger, for example, she's had the ability to generate light daggers for as long as she's been a character. What else could she come up with? We're going to really get to sort of show the versatility of her light constructs in a way that I don't think any creators have done before. And what does me a lot of good is when I first started writing, this was 2009. I finally sort of summoned up the courage to try writing scripts on my own. And one of the first things I did was writing fan scripts. The characters, their voices, and I wrote some Avengers fan scripts, and Cloak and Dagger were on my roster, as well as Daredevil. So dreams do come true is sort of a long way of saying that. But Cloak and Dagger, longtime favorites of mine. I've wanted them to be Avengers for a decade and a half. And I'm so excited to get to turn that into reality. I think fans of the characters probably know this, but they are just the epitome of untapped potential in the Marvel Universe to me. And I'm excited for people to really to see them make their well-deserved step up to the A-list.
I love when we can take characters that have been around for a good long time and we don't have to retcon anything about them.
Yeah.
There's just so much untapped or unknown potential that maybe even they themselves as characters don't know that they can do until they're put to a task.
Yes.
When everything's on the line. So
we're throwing them into the thick of it. And they're going to have to really, everybody in the Savage Avengers is really going to have to step up their game. That's something that I really enjoyed about this concept is we've never really, we've seen Conan interact with Marvel heroes in the present. We haven't really gotten a chance to see the modern Marvel universe get kind of shanghaied back to Hyboria and seeing how, it's a very unknown location, especially for these characters. And I think that's part of the appeal is, it's not a group of, it's not like the most well-known of the Marvel characters, which gives us a lot of room to kind of play around with their powers, with their personalities, really kind of put our stamp on these characters a bit. And also they're the comparative, because they have less experience than somebody like Captain America or Iron Man or Thor. That means they're really going to have to dig deep to come out on top on this land that's honestly way more savage than anything they could do.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine. They're going to be such fish out of water.
Yes. It's been a really fun avenue to explore, and just getting to see all the characters really step it up in a big way. It's a roster that a lot of people, understandably, when they first saw the roster, they're like, I don't get it. How does this work? And they click so magnificently together. And that's part of the appeal, just like the first Avengers movie, where you have these 6 random characters, you see them kind of bouncing off each other and playing off each other. That's the Savage Avengers to a T. You're going to find out very soon. You're going to say Black Knight and Weapon H, you're going to see them as the new Beast and Wonder Man. You're going to see, for example, what's Anti-Venom's dynamic with Cloak and Dagger. That's a very fun thing that we're going to be sort of, watching them play off each other. What does Elektra and Black Knight have in common? These are all kind of the fun elements that that's the mind space that I've been in since the better part of last year. And getting for readers finally to get to see the unexpected sparks that are going to fly. I think it reminds me a lot of Al Ewing's Mighty Avengers, or Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force, or even his Uncanny Avengers run. Those teams that don't really make a ton of sense on paper, you're going to watch how their personalities really click together in a fun and exciting way.
going to be so cool. Now, another cool thing that I am interested in talking about is like, for as much as Savage Avengers doesn't have a lot, like there's parameters under which they kind of have to operate, right? Because otherwise they're not going to be Savage Avengers.
Sure.
You get to write a story within the Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood, which you can do whatever you want because those don't touch on anything in the universe and they're just one shots. So did you go crazy?
It was fun. So it's funny. I right now I've got 3 announced works at Marvel. This week actually my first Marvel work, Elektra, Black, White, and Blood #3 comes out, and that was actually the most. That was the most recent thing that I was tapped to do. There was an unexpected opening, and so I wound up taking that opening, doing a story with Elektra trying to infiltrate the Red Room, and winds up going head to head with Natasha Romanoff herself.
Just thinking about how that would be awesome.
Super fun. Weapon of Choice is the story's title. Mm-hmm. But Moon Knight. So. I had originally been reached out to do Savage Avengers, and that I think was going hopefully well. A few months in, Tom Brevoort, my editor, emailed me and he said, "Hey, we're doing a Moon Knight anthology." And for anybody who's read my work on Spencer and Locke, Moon Knight is absolutely the kind of character people have been telling me for a long time they'd love to see me write Moon Knight. I think he's an awesome character. I think Jed McKay is doing fantastic stuff in the Moon Knight ongoing series right now. I'm excited to see Oscar Isaac in the role in Disney Plus. And so, it was one of those things. Tom sent me, asked me, "Do you have any ideas for it?" And I came up with a fun idea that sounds a little like a knock knock joke. 4 personalities walk into a diner, and Moon Knight's picking up the check. And so, our story. Is Mark Spector checking in with his various alter egos at his favorite diner. He's been pretty beat up, and he's got to now check in with all of his personalities to sort of tally up who racked up which injury over the course of one evening. And so it's a fun way to kind of get to explore the various facets of Moon Knight. I'm working with artist Leonardo Romero on it and colorist Chris Sotomayor. I love them both. I've known Chris for a very long time, and thrilled to be working with him. And Leo, I had sent Tom a wish list of artists. I don't even remember if it was. I think it was for this story, not just Savage Avengers. And Leo was the #1 top of my list. I was like, "There's no way we're gonna get Leo," but like, he's fantastic. I think he's just a phenomenal artist. And so imagine my surprise when Leo is suddenly turning in pages. It's fantastic. It's such a fun story. That should be coming out. I believe that's now been scheduled for June. At least that's what Previews World is telling me. But I'm very excited for that story. It's diving into the many minds of Moon Knight. And I think it's got that sort of cross between action and humor that fans of my work will really enjoy.
So, you mentioned the diner, so I have to have a question. Do the 4 personalities each order something different?
There's a standing order that they split. So Mark prefers his steak bloody. Jake Lockley, he's a big fan of having his toast on white. Khonshu prefers his coffee black. And Stephen Grant, not really eating anything. He's trying to watch his figure. But yeah, there's a standing order waiting for him. So I just love that there's this diner that like just they know Moon Knight and he just like stumbles in like all beat up all the time and they're like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Knight, we got your order ready." It's I just being a freelancer here, in Los Angeles, you find areas that you become a regular at, and then they sort of, the people there, they know your order. They become sort of supporting cast members of your story as you're trying to get your deadlines out. I just wanted to kind of write something that felt a little homey, a little down to earth, but still kind of encompassed the scope of all the versatility that Moon Knight represents.
See, I love that because it's a true love shout out to those places that are our places, our go-to places. Because exactly. I literally just got here from my front show and this show, I spend 2 hours doing research and looking up things. Yeah. And I go into the Chili's, walk straight in, sit down at a booth.
Yep.
I don't look at anybody. My food shows up there.
Yep.
No one talks to me. Yep. I put my card in the machine, and I stand up and I leave. And they got a good tip.
Those are the places that make creative work possible. So I get that, but it's just it's been a really fun experience. If you'd asked me a year ago, how would you feel about writing for Marvel? I would have said you're kidding me. There's no way. There's no way that I would have felt comfortable or confident enough in my abilities. And this has really been kind of a boot camp in a lot of ways. I felt like I was a strong writer before I got into this, and I feel like I've become so much more flexible and fast with my work, which is two of the things that I was least confident about a year ago. And it's been just so nice working with the team at Marvel. Carlos has been fantastic. Leo Romero has been fantastic. Danilo Beirut, who did my Elektra story, he was really wonderful. Turned out a really great looking story in a very tight time frame. And my editors have just been really encouraging and supportive. I've emailed Tom all sorts of weird ideas. And invariably he says, that sounds like fun, go for it. And it's made for just a really fun writing experience. And I think it's delivering some really fun, kind of eclectic, pop culture infused work within the Marvel universe. And I'm just so thrilled to be kind of adding my own bricks to the house of ideas. And I'm excited for more to come.
Yeah, I feel like editors are often the unsung heroes of what gets made.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of the glue that puts everything together.
Yes, absolutely. And, Tom and Martin Biro and Annalise Bisa, who are sort of my core editorial team on Savage Avengers, I can't say enough good things about them. They've been really on top of everything. I wind up asking a lot of questions because I'm still finding my feet as far as the greater Marvel machine is concerned. And I'm also the type that usually comes up with 3 different options for any particular thing. And I'm like, which do you like best? And they're very good at sort of giving me a lot of latitude, but sort of reeling me in when I need it. And they've just been, really superb. And we've got some more things coming down the pike that I'm very excited about that I think we'll be able to talk about in the summer. It's just been a really wonderful experience. And I'm so thrilled with Savage Avengers. I'll write this book as long as there's an audience. I'll write this book until they drag me away from it. It's a fun concept. It's a really fun roster. I'm working with just a tremendous artist in Carlos Magno with this. And there's a lot of runway that we can take this series. So I keep telling everybody, pre-order. Let Marvel know that there's an audience for this that wants to go back to the Hyborian age with Conan and company, because we've got some really fun stuff in it.
True, that is so important for both local comic shops and for the publishers themselves to know, is it being received well? Yeah. And if you just assume it's going to be on the rack, sometimes that doesn't help happen as much as you think it should, especially in this day and age of paper shortages and things. People are Absolutely. A little more strict in their orders.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, pre-order if you're a shop, order heavy. But yeah, I'm telling you, these characters, they're somebody's favorite, and I think once you finish reading these series, they're going to be your favorite. Just all of these characters have some hidden depths to them. I'm very excited to be excavating them, and just really, it's a fun roster and a fun fish out of water adventure. And we're cranking this book to 11, and I think people are going to really enjoy some of the crazy adventures that we're putting the Savage Avengers through. Because they're not called the subtle Avengers. It's going to be quite over the top and quite exciting.
All right, everybody. Make sure you follow David, and you think he's using Apropos everywhere.
Yep.
So you can find him on all of the different social media platforms. And thank you so much for joining us here on the Experience for Talking Shop. And go and support your local comic shops by subscribing to this book this week. All right, everybody. See y'all later.